Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback, a weekly feature from Cannon Church in Snellville, Georgia. I'm Tim Emmett, the senior pastor at Cannon, and on Monday mornings we connect the message from Sunday, the game of football, and the week ahead. The 1987 Washington Redskins won the Super Bowl despite key injuries to their starting center, starting running back, and starting quarterback early in the season. That last injury to Jay Schroeder, their starting quarterback, in week one of the season kicked off a season-long quarterback controversy. Jay Schroeder and Doug Williams traded roles throughout the year. One would start, the other would sit, and then the one who had been the backup became the starter, in part because of injuries, both to Schroeder and Williams, but also because each of them struggled at different times in the year. It wasn't until the final game of the year that Williams became the clear starter heading into the playoffs. He won that starting role in part because of his play on the field, but also because, I believe, how he conducted himself, how he carried himself off the field. When you listen to the Redskins themselves talk about that season and those two quarterbacks, one of the things that they say is that Schroeder carried himself really as if he was better than the rest of the team. He didn't hang out with the guys in the locker room, didn't joke around with them, and he never expressed appreciation for the line that protected him.
I think the difference between Doug and Jay Schroeder, Doug really appreciated the offensive line, and Jay never really noticed it or mentioned it.
Jay wasn't popular with nobody in the locker room, basically. And I think Jay thought maybe he was a lot better than most people because he was the starting quarterback of the Redskins and didn't have to stoop down to be like the other guys.
In contrast, Doug Williams carried himself like a leader who was one of the guys. He hung out with his teammates, he joked around with them, he expressed appreciation to the line all of the time and publicly praised them to the media. By the end of that season, he had really won over that locker room, won the trust of his teammates, and to this day, they express love for Doug Williams. Not just respect, but love for Doug Williams. This past weekend at Cannon Church, we continued our series, Please Don't Be My Neighbor. It's a series about loving our neighbors as ourselves. It's a series really about the obstacles, the resistance kind of inside us and around us to loving our neighbors, the kind of resistance, the kind of obstacles that keep us from living a life of love. We talked about judgment or love, how judging others really prevents us from loving others. In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says, don't judge. And of course, he doesn't mean don't make moral judgments, don't make moral discernments and take no moral stands. Jesus made moral discernments and took moral stands all of the time in lots of different places. He says basically do this, not that, be this, not that. But what he did mean is don't be judgmental, don't carry yourself, don't think of yourself, don't speak to others, interact with others as if you were over judgment instead of under it. In other words, be Doug Williams, not Jay Schroeder. Be with and for others, not over and above others. With and for others, not over and above others. That's the key to not judging, to not being a judgmental person. And so if we're going to love our neighbors, we really can't see ourselves, think of ourselves, speak as if we are over others, especially not as if we are over judgment. To paraphrase the Apostle Paul, so think and so act as those who will be judged, not as those who will judge. So what's the game plan for this week? Pretty simple. Be Doug Williams, not Jay Schroeder. Carry yourself, think of yourself, see yourself, and see others as members of your team. You are with and for them, not over and above them. That's the game plan for this week. I hope you have a great week.